tell us what's going on with the Trempealeau County employment benefit policies related to COVID-19 for discussion, possible action.
Sure. This is just an update for the committee. So the COVID committee met last Friday and determined that we were just going to keep the same policy in effect that had been, and it basically states the decision to wear or not to wear a face covering is a personal choice of individual employee unless a department or supervisor directs otherwise. So that's the current policy that's still in effect today.
Okay. And I know that one doesn't get to go into the health department unless one is masked. I've got one.
Yep.
Right
So it's
here.
up to each individual department to make
Individual
those.
Okay. And human services too. And so there is no action related to that. Okay. Now this next one we really should wait for Ron. No, Corp Counsel. Something a little less requirement of questions and so forth. So go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm just asking for approval to get a limited term employee for my office. Sometime in the month of October, my assistant will be taking leave, and so I would just need someone to fill in for her while she was on leave. I'm not asking for any additional money. I should be able to cover it under the budget that I have, but I just wanted to get approval. I'll take it to exec finance from here, but just we'll need someone for a few months.
Does the person you need, we have a project initiation procedure form that was filled out for that, and it didn't clarify, I don't, either that or I didn't get to it. Is this person going to need to have law training, paralegal-ish kind of stuff?
Yeah, and actually, it's a good question. So my assistant, for lack of a better word, actually is paralegal, but I would be looking for a legal assistant for the short period of time that it would be. I wouldn't necessarily need that a paralegal would be in that position, but yes, there would be a requirement. We have a legal assistant job description already in place, and we would be using that to find the replacement, so they would be required to have legal training.
So the pay would be the same, or would it be different?
It would be different than what paralegal makes right now. It would be a little less, but it would be at the rate that we would have a legal assistant be normally.
Okay, that's why you were nodding yes and you were going no. Okay,
Sure.
Got it.
What's that period of time?
Roughly October through early January, roughly.
Okay.
So.
So it is a Corp Counsel office request for a limited term employee. The project initiation form came with your packet. Is there a motion
I'll
to
move to approve.
I'll second.
approve the request? Motion by Austin, second by Nutter. I do talk more slowly. I better pick this up. This would go to exec finance after approval here.
It would, yes.
Okay. So all in favor of approving the request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is approved and will be sent to the Exec Finance Committee. John, why don't you join us up here? That way you'll have a mic and everything. So then, item 10 is District Attorney request for, what's that? Sure. What's that?
Are you leaving?
Sure, yes,
Just that call,
if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a District Attorney Office request for Division Coordinator position, Diversion Coordinator position, not Division Coordinator position, right?
That is correct.
Okay, because we've got division on here, which I was confused about.
Can I give a brief history to how we got this?
Go ahead.
Well, wait, just a second. This would come up in this, and was going to be my question anyway, that I know that there's history here. So my understanding is that you two have been working together to come to an agreement related to this. So why don't you go ahead, if it's okay, John, for Deb to do this?
So in 2012, it was decided by predecessors of both of ours that the DA's office had done the diversion program, and the Recovery Court program. It was decided in 2012 that for the 2013 budget would move to Human Services with a grant that was about to expire. So the grant came, what was left of the grant came to Human Services, the position came to Human Services in January 1st, 2013. My predecessor left in April or May of that year, and I started July 17th. I had to have a budget to the county board by the 12th of August, and had to figure out how I was going to pay for this position when there was no grant left. So we moved some funding from Children and Families and from Behavioral Health to help fund some part of this position, and we wrote a grant for the half of it that was the Recovery Court. So the diversion was paid for with some levy that I moved from Children and Families, as well as some fees that we collect. So we've operated with that type of funding for lots of very appropriate reasons, and the conversation about where should this program be housed, it should be in Human Services, should be somewhere else, I think have happened, and I think we're not mandated to do it. There are models
Not mandated to do the program at
to do
all,
the-
or to do it in a certain place?
To do the supervision. The district attorney has the authority to determine, to take to court and determine who gets a diversion. Then once somebody gets a diversion, then who supervises them for whatever time of period that they're supposed to be on it. That's what we've done. Some models in the county have social services type agencies doing that. Some have district attorney's offices doing it. So either one is right, and either one is not right, depending on whatever your community wants. So John will tell you about some of the changes he's seeing in the program, and the time was ripe to make that change. So the proposal that we have in front of you, and I have some documents that I can give you as well, so because you're going to ask about the money, or you will likely
I'm
ask
going to
about
ask
the money.
about the money, because there's very little information about the money in the proposals, so.
Yep. So here is a page from, 4 over this way. Just hand it over to Kaylin. So what I'm handing out first is a page from the, hand this over here, from the 2019 audit. We don't have the 2020 audit yet. And in there, you'll see about 2/3 of the way down the page, there is an amount of $31,857 for justice sanctions. That's on the audit document. So what that is that was funding that was set aside in many previous years for the justice programs. Because we continue to get the grant for Recovery Court, and there's a new grant cycle coming up, but I feel confident we can get funded for that, continue to get funded for that. I don't see in the foreseeable future any need that Human Services would need to use those funds. So in order to make this move, we have to have some money to make this happen. So what this resolution is calling for is moving this $31,857 of non-lapsing funds from Human Services to the District Attorney's Office. The second document I handed out to you is a proposal, and this, I was assuming September 1st. This won't go to County Board until September 20th?
20th.
Yeah, so it obviously wouldn't happen until after that. So this is even so there'll be even less requirements. But there's different possibilities for pay rates. There's the person who's been currently doing it. There's lead worker, social worker rate. There's average social worker rates. So that's what those 3 different hourly rates are. So then it calculates out what the wages would be for September 1st through December 31st. Obviously, we won't need that full-time period. Their benefits, which include FICA and retirement, so the roll-up benefits, and then any health insurance, assuming family health insurance. So what would the total cost be? So it's anywhere from $29,481 to $33,307. So again, we're below that. We're showing we would transfer the $31,857. And then also in the resolution says that the fees that we've collected for the diversion program, we would, since January 1st, we would transfer over to the District Attorney's Office as well. Through June, we've collected $3,150. Our budget for the year is $7,500. Based on what we see in June, we'll probably be pretty close to that.
Pretty close.
So the little numbers in the italics on the side are the worst-case scenario. If we didn't receive another penny after June 30th, there would be $35,007 available for the district attorney to do this. And the cost, again, starting September 1st, which won't happen, would be $33,000. So this document is to show you that there is sufficient funds to make that transition happen this year. And then the district attorney will talk about the grant that he's going to be working on to fund it for next year.
Okay, Deb, you've been talking, you've been using the term resolution. We have no resolution. We have a proposal, unless John's got a copy of a resolution.
Oh, I sent-
Ah, there we go.
Did you make,
We have, HR has it.
Okay, good. I wanted to be clear that.
here's an extra copy if you need to
No,
look
no,
at it. This
I
is
just
the
wanted to be
original,
clear
so
that
we'll
we
screw
have
that one.
something
Okay.
that we're acting on, and at some point,
I can read the whereas if you'd like.
well, just a second, I was, why is
Sorry.
everybody just a step ahead of me? So I was gonna ask somebody to read the resolution. Let's see, is that what we're going to be? I guess we are, unless HR has some other issues related to this.
I do just have a question for Deb, I guess. So
Okay.
just to try and wrap my brain around this. So we're moving duties from the current juvenile justice supervisor to now this new diversion.
Part of the
correct?
duties, not all of the duties.
Right. So that might have an effect on that person's wage potentially? We'll have to probably
Well,
do
it
an
depends.
analysis.
We're keeping the supervisor position.
Right.
So we will just give them additional supervisory type duties and just take the diversion duties away.
Okay.
And then depending on how the compensation consultant
Right.
grades or rates the position, then that, now, would the current candidate who is the supervisor want to take that position? That's up to them.
Right.
But their position still remains in our department.
Okay, and you don't anticipate any major changes to that job description besides removing the diversion piece?
Correct.
Okay, and you'd be adding additional. Okay, then yeah, I have no further concerns.
In which case, so we have something to discuss, will someone read the resolution? Krista? Okay.
I wrote it, so hopefully I won't read my
It'll
typos like
roll
Paul
off the
does.
tongue.
Because he always finds one on that I always have. So it's the 2021 budget adjustment, adult diversion supervision from Human Services to District Attorney's Office, whereas the adult diversion program is a means for the justice system to help offenders get the help they need to make better decisions in the future. And whereas until 2013, the District Attorney's Office had provided supervision for the diversion program participants, but chose not to operate the program in late 2012 when a grant was expiring. And whereas the prior Human Services Director agreed to take on the diversion supervision program effective 1/1/23 with remaining resources of the grant, and whereas the Human Services Department operated the program since that time, as well as provided financial management for the restitution program by collecting restitution and submitting funds to victims. And whereas in 2017, Human Services created expectations and guidelines for the type of diversions they would supervise that fits within the department's mission and vision and will define the type of work that Human Services staff are qualified to perform. And whereas the limitations set by the Human Services Department guidelines often do not fit with the philosophy of the District Attorney's Office when recommending diversions for offenders, and whereas the diversion supervision program is not a mandated program for Human Services, and whereas Human Services has a balance of $31,857 in a non-lapsing account for justice-related programs which could be used to help the District Attorney's Office cover the cost of the diversion supervision program in 2021 until they are able to seek a new grant in 2022. And whereas the Human Services Department and the District Attorney are committed to working together to transition this diversion supervision program and the financial management of the restitution program by September 1st, 2021, for the benefit of those served in the county. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Board of Supervisors approves moving the responsibilities of the diversion program to the District Attorney's Office, and be it further resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors approves transferring the Human Services Justice Sanctions non-lapsing account balance of $31,857 to the District Attorney's Office, as well as approves transferring any fees collected by Human Services for the diversion program since January 1, 2021 to the District Attorney's Office. The Human Services Committee has approved it, and Law Enforcement Committee has approved it.
Okay. Having heard the resolution, is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion second, Austin and Johnson. Now, John's turn.
All right.
Turn on
Thank
your
you for your
mic.
patience.
There you go.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I won't take up much of your time by sort of rehashing some of the issues that have been rehashed, kind of about the importance of diversion supervision and how how my office sort of foresees handling that into the future. I'll just say briefly that there's very high need for a full-time diversion supervisor position for the county. Our case numbers are at record highs. We've already filed more felony cases in 2021, now in August, than the total annual felony case filings basically in history since we've been keeping track using our electronic case management service. So we're at a record high for case filings. We need an individual who's able to sort of dedicate to the work their full attention and not be distracted with other very important duties. We imagine this facilitator acting as almost a social worker type, consistent with what other counties are doing, wherein the diversion coordinator is encouraging a person to sort of get connected with in-community treatment, in-community job resources, in-community education resources, and really helping them to kind of put their lives in order in the same way that a probation agent might or a social worker might. We also envision this person playing a pretty active role with the community or Criminal Justice Coordinating Council and kind of bringing together all these community resources and then applying them to the people on their caseload. So that's kind of the need for this position. We have included funding for this position in our request for funding in 2022. That so far has been approved by the Law Enforcement Committee. We will be applying for the Treatment Assisted Diversion Grant through the state when that becomes available. For a variety of reasons that are kind of above my pay grade at the state level, the state hasn't released to Wisconsin counties the grant, the electronic grant requirements for 2022 funding. We're getting toward the end of the year. These
Budgets are being.
budgets are being finalized. This should have happened, but there's been some turnover kind of at the top of treatment assisted diversion in Wisconsin, and I think that kind of threw their process into disarray. So we're still waiting for the opportunity to apply for funding. It's not something that we can include kind of on our projected budget for 2022 because
Which explains the lack of funding sources in the initiation project
Yes.
initiation form, yeah.
Yep, and
That was
so
my question.
Yeah, so we think that we'll be competitive in the grant application. We've received funding at the county level previously. I think that our program is something that would be competitive for funding. There's more monies available this year than in previous years. So I think we'll have a competitive application, but we haven't done it yet because we haven't had the opportunity, and so we haven't completed the application. It hasn't been approved. We don't have the money, so we can't really speak to we can't count on that money. Or we don't know how much money we'll be getting. We don't know if we'll be getting any money just because we haven't had the opportunity to apply because of the state level.
I suspect we're going to hear this at Exec Finance during budget time, so, yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully by budget time, hopefully we've heard something.
I mean, the
Hopefully.
diversion program is exactly, the treatment alternatives and diversion is the name of the grant, so diversion's right in the name of the grant. We've written it in the past for the recovery court, so we'll have to write the application, a joint application that the recovery court is an ongoing program, diversion is a new program. We'll have to submit that application together, but John and I have talked about doing that. I will be working on the recovery court piece of it because I've submitted that in previous years. You have to go into this e-grant software. It's kind of a pain in the rear, but I've beat it into submission and figured out how to use the dang thing to get things submitted. So obviously you don't know what you don't know, but I believe there's a very strong likelihood that this position will be funded through that grant. There's additional funding, and they've viewed Trempealeau County as a great partner in the TAD grant applications in the past. And so I don't usually stick my neck out too far. I'm usually pretty cautious, but I believe that there's good reason to believe we will have funding for this next year.
So what we're talking about here is a new position I think 76,000 was a number
We
that you came up with.
we set that figure based on the salary of the DHS employee that's currently handling diversions.
Okay,
That's where that figure comes from.
okay. Yes, the light is on.
Sure, so I have sent the new job description for this position off to the compensation consultants, so they're currently in process of reviewing where this will land.
Okay. And as you've overheard that compensation study, the numbers will start coming back at the end of August, which is not too far away.
Correct.
Any questions for anybody here? Do you have anything to? No?
Mandy was here to present on my behalf because my wife is scheduled to have a baby tomorrow, and so we thought that maybe if it happened early, I might not be here. So she was ready to go, but the baby hasn't arrived yet, so I'm here.
So can you clarify for me, and this comes in reading the initiation form, the description hints that, in terms of the diversion program, if a person successfully completes the diversion program, does any record of the charge or the conviction come off of their record?
Not on the, or does it come off their record?
Right.
The diverted charge would come off their record. So
Oh, the diverted charge.
yes. So and I will say in most cases the diversion relates to the case as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So generally a person would plead to, if there are two counts, let's say there's a theft and a criminal damage to property. If they plead to the theft and we dismiss and read in the criminal damage to property, put them on a diversion agreement for 18 months, at the end of that 18 months, the case gets dismissed. So it'll come off CCAP. There will be no judgment of conviction that's ever been entered, and so it comes off their record for all intents and purposes. If a person runs a criminal history report on the person, it will likely show in the criminal history that the person was arrested and that the case was dismissed.
Which is different than expunged, where it would not come up at all.
Correct. Yes. So it'll show case dismissed, which, so it won't be recorded as a judgment of conviction. There are some cases where we'll do a diversion on a felony count, but have a person plead to a companion misdemeanor count in that same case and put them on probation on the misdemeanor counts. In a case like that, there will be convictions for the misdemeanors because that was kind of dealt with at the probation level. That'll stay on the record. The diverted felony count will be dismissed, so that'll come off. So in most cases where it's just one case, one diversion agreement with no probation supervision, the case gets dismissed at the successful conclusion of the diversion agreement.
So expungement is a word that's floating around in a lot of discussion today because a record even of a arrest or even a diverted judgment can still affect people's ability to get jobs, to get loans, to go to school, to get a license for a professional thing. Is this an issue that either Human Services or District Attorney is looking at?
Yeah, it's something that I've paid close attention to. I can say that it's illegal to discriminate against a person based on a charge that's been dismissed, and so you can't hold something against a person for a case that's been dismissed, and so it kind of has the same. It should have less of a prejudicial effect than an expunged conviction on a person's record, because there are certain situations where an expunged conviction can be used against a person in some way or another. With the dismissed case, your ability to use the fact of that case against a person is much more limited because the case is dismissed. You're innocent until you're proven guilty, and if a case gets dismissed, you remain innocent throughout the entire period. Regarding expungement or expunction, we've actually had cases where, say for example, a young person who's under 25 at the time of the commission of the offense, which is a person which are the only people at this time who are eligible for statutory expunction in Wisconsin. Say a person who's 23 gets convicted of a possession of narcotic drugs offense. We put them, it's their first offense, we put them on a diversion agreement, they're in treatment, things are going well. We put them on a diversion agreement for a couple of years. Over the course of that, things kind of go off the rails, they blow off their requirements under the agreement, they're, relapse using drugs, and we file a motion to revoke the agreement, put the person on probation, go to sentencing, judge sentences them, we put them on probation. It's possible at the time at the time of sentencing to request that person be eligible for expungement if they are able to successfully complete probation. So effectively, you kind of get in a situation like this.
Two chances, basically.
Yeah, you can get two kicks at the can to keep this off your record. And we've done that with young people who are struggling with drugs, and sometimes we get a good outcome. Other times, you don't. But it's nice to. I think everyone feels good about giving a person an opportunity to keep their record clean. And a diversion supervision period is less rigorous in some ways than a probation supervision, because if a person screws up on a diversion agreement, we can't throw them in jail immediately as a consequence. A probation agent can, and that's sometimes that's what a person needs. Sometimes they need to have their knuckles rapped, so to speak, immediately after they engage in a violation. We at the diversion level can't provide those immediate consequences quite as readily. All we can do is sort of up treatment or threaten to revoke the agreement, if violations continue, or if they don't do something to address that violation. So, there's kind of an escalation of the rigors of supervision and the rigors of the consequences for violating. This diversion program effectively gives people who are relatively low risk, or who are making efforts to put their life on a different path, and who are who are in situations where either there aren't victims, aren't named victims, or the victims are on board with this type of agreement, give them an opportunity to keep their record clean while demonstrating that they're taking some action to kind of put their lives on track.
Deb, you wanted to say
I
something.
just wanted to clarify a couple things in the resolution. The only change that's happening is the diversion supervision. The whole autonomy on who goes on diversion or what all that is, that has always been with the DA's office and remains with the DA's office. This is just the supervision of the individuals once the diversion has been established. The second piece I want to clarify is the restitution program. We haven't talked a little bit about that. The restitution program, the way it operates now is, and we've collected between $20,000 and $40,000 every year of restitution for victims, and returned it back to victims in the community every year with this position. This work would then go to the district attorney's office. The reason I'm making that clarification is it's been kind of a wonky thing, because the individuals who have committed the crime or are on the diversion, they have to pay the restitution, and then there's a percentage that they pay that has gone to the district attorney's office, always has. But in the meantime, Human Services has collected the restitution, we do the receipting in, we then turn around and cut the checks to the victims. And so we will get out of that business, because it didn't really fit with our department anyway. So that piece will also move to the district attorney's office, and that will make a lot more sense. You've got the victim witness coordinator up there, that just makes a lot more sense. So that's another benefit of this change as well.
And I've consulted with a number of district attorneys kind of around the state, and the vast majority of counties have this diversion coordinator position under the umbrella of the district attorney's office. And I think that because of those synergies, like related to victim witness issues and restitution issues, that it just kind of makes sense. I think that this will streamline the process a little bit more.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution passes. Is this the last visit to the committee?
No, it's got to go to exec finance yet.
Oh, it has to go to exec.
I'm going to let you do the
Well,
paper of this original, 'cause I don't know if I
does it?
might be after tonight.
Because the resolution only deals with the transfer of existing money. there's no new money involved. Is this, who do I look to? Mr. Chair? Is,
Yes, because again,
does it have to go to
I don't
exec?
think it has to go to exec finance.
let's transfer funds from one fund to the
Oh,
other.
yeah, so we deal with transfer of funds as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I get it. Let's,
It
well,
should just shoot right through it.
yeah, so let's move on. Thank you, John, Deb, everybody for coming. We'll get this signed.
Oh, is that,
I'm gonna let Mandy keep that
sure.
original.
Or is that, does that,
It's just,
We need the
it's just,
other-
it's just the
It's
signature page.
oh, okay.
You can have it right now, we're all gonna sign it.
Yes, don't go anywhere until we get it all
Mandy's gonna be the
signed.
keeper of it.
Group
'cause you're
health
gonna have
insurance and
to-
voluntary benefits to include open enrollment procedures for 2022. Discussing possible action.
No, you're like me, you just wait till the last minute and then drive like hell.
That's not like my wife is having a baby, we are having a baby.
I don't want to take any sort of
Credit?
away from her.
Yeah.
My role was relatively limited. I will be playing a more active role after the birth.
Now, everybody in the county who's watching knows you're about to be a dad.
It's true, yeah. If anyone wants to know, we have more than enough books and baby items at the house. Please, hold your
Does
gifts.
she need a pony? We have horses.
Let's not get any ideas. You appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Actually, I've already predicted that it's going to be a girl, so.
It's a boy.
Oh, okay.
You know that.
Boys need ponies too.
They do, yeah. Okay.
I always wish I had a pony. I never got a pony.
When is exec finance meeting in September?
It'll be the 6th or 7th
Yeah, it looked like,
or 5th. It's the.
Do you meet on Labor
the
Day?
The first, oh, yeah,
It's the
that's
day.
right. What did we
I
decide on
think
that?
it's a week later because of Labor Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we may have waited a week.
Okay.
It's still before the next county
Yeah,
board.
because Labor
meeting.
Day's a little bit later this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks everybody. Good day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Does she have to be here for the budget proposal in 12? No. Okay.
Go.
God, I'm not even gonna miss any part of the meeting. We'll be done by noon.
We will. Okay, open enrollment dates have been set by the state, September 27th to October 22nd. We have our kickoff meeting where we'll learn lots more about the plans, September 16th at 1 PM. So that's actually our next personnel bargaining meeting.
Oh,
So
cool.
if we can keep our morning meeting for September 16th, that would be preferable. Some of the anticipated changes that they have led us on to are the state maintenance plan, which is, the new plan that was offered to us last year is going away. So we anticipate lots of people making lots of changes this year again.
Oh, no.
We have also learned that Courts Community is splitting into two plans, so it'll be Courts Central and Courts West. So we'll see what comes of that. I have already had meetings with the Insurance Center, who is the carrier for our voluntary benefits, to lock in some dates. So we're planning to hold a benefit presentation session this year for employees to attend. That'll be scheduled for October 4th. So what will happen there is HR will make a brief presentation on health insurance, and then the Insurance Center will be giving a brief presentation on their voluntary benefits. So it kind of gets them thinking, okay, what do I want this year? What do I want to get rid of, keep, those sorts of things. So that's scheduled for October 4th. And last year, due to COVID, we had implemented the online enrollment software.
With not great success, as I recall.
Not great success. However, TIC talked me into keeping it this year. However, we're going to bring them on site and do things kind of the way we used to do them. So employees will be required again to meet with a member from the Insurance Center, talk through their benefits, and then the Insurance Center will be keying in those things
Oh,
for
that's
them.
good. That makes perfect sense.
Yes, and we'll again have it, and somebody, either myself or Nikki, will be down there meeting with staff, talking about health, dental, and vision. So we'll kind of be their first stop, and then we'll send them back again to meet with the Insurance Center, and it'll be a very clean process.
Good.
As long as COVID numbers hopefully stay at bay and we can continue doing that. So that's all I have for right now on health and voluntary benefits. We'll have numbers for you at the next meeting to approve as far as health insurance numbers go.
Nothing for us to act on today.
Nope, nothing today.
And we don't know,
We don't have any idea of money yet.
Not set money. They actually had a meeting yesterday, the group health insurance board did at the state level, and the local premium, which is what we would fall under, is going to be a 5.8% increase,
Ugh.
which isn't awful. In 2020, it was like a 13%, so this is relatively low. But who's going to take that on, again, will be based off of
Okay.
what this committee will choose. So could have been way worse.
Let's go to the budget. I'm not used to seeing this form, so I was a little confused at first, but this is very clean, very understandable, not a lot of readout kind of stuff. So I appreciate the little key with the numbers and stuff, so.
No problem.
Wow, and it's a decrease. What's up with that?
It
Well-
is. So by hiring me, you saved the county some money with lowering the wage, obviously, from the previous HR director. So there will be a savings in wages and salaries, Social Security, retirement, Medicare. So, yes, there is a savings.
And also, we won't be doing the wage study.
Correct.
this
So
next
that was a
year.
$50,000 savings right off the bat. So that
Move
was
for
huge.
approval.
I'll second. I mean, it's
Motion-
even lower than 2,000,
20 something.
yeah.
Well, so we have a motion and a second to approve the recommended budget. Is there any little flag thing that you want us to keep in mind? Obviously, the cost of insurance and so forth.
Right, so the HR budget is pretty straightforward. Our department also handles the EAP budget, the workers'
Right.
compensation budget, as well as the property and liability insurance. So this was a large learning piece for me to try and make heads or tails of what all that meant. So workers' compensation, we do have a 3-year agreement with them, so that
Right.
one will be pretty straightforward unless, of course, we have crazy outrageous claims next year, which knock on wood, hopefully we don't. Property and liability insurance, that we are in process of determining. Those renewal contracts have not been received as of today. So I did my estimate for 2022 based off of a 6% increase, which has been pretty standard from year to year to use 6% as an estimate.
Nice.
Okay, so a motion and a second to approve the budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who did the motion.
John and Jean.
John and Jeannie.
Let's see, you also have budget considerations, health insurance, flex spending and wages. This is more for our information as opposed to anything to really
Correct.
talk about right now.
Yep.
We will be dealing with that next month to be sure. So let's go to the department report.
You're right. So the turnover report was sent out with your packets. So as of today, we have filled 30 full-time positions, 5 part-time fill-in, and 9 limited term. You can see we have quite a few active positions currently posted for right now. Any questions?
Any questions, anybody? Nope, seeing none, let's go to the events.
All right, I really don't have anything in addition for events as well. Obviously, our biggest projects right now are open enrollment, compensation study, union negotiations, so we're going to have a very, very busy rest of the year in our department.
Yes, we have lots on our table.
A couple months ago, I think, when I started. you
Turn your
mentioned,
mic on there.
When I got on the committee here, it was brought to our attention that we needed new software. Is that
Oh,
still
yeah.
being dug into?
That's a great question. So I met with the IT director a week or 2 ago to further discuss. For right now, we're going to put that on hold. We're going to keep everything status quo as is until we can hopefully get a new payroll system. Just if we were to implement a new HRIS system right now, it really wouldn't do a whole lot for us besides get us a new flashy system to keep data in. We'd like to streamline again our HR processes for it to be one smooth transition from HR to payroll. And unfortunately, at this time, that's not being looked at, so.
Wasn't it like incredibly expensive, what was being looked at?
Potentially, it could be.
But that's something we're looking at for first part of next year or next year's budget, or we don't?
Probably not next year either.
Yeah,
Okay.
there
So
doesn't
we're gonna kick
appear
the
in
can
budget.
down for a little ways.
Right.
Okay, just
Okay.
asking.
Thanks for reminding us of that. We've been hearing a lot about the compensation study today. It sounds like we're going to kick a few new positions into the study, but also information coming at the end of the month.
Right, so I am anticipating seeing an early preliminary basis on what that compensation study is looking like. However, the compensation consultant did task me with getting a percentage of our payroll that we are looking at implementing. So is that a 3% increase we're looking at, from our payroll numbers. Is that a 1%? Is that a 2%? I was briefly speaking with Paul Severson on that, and he said, obviously, our budget is pretty tight this year. So not entirely
But he says
sure.
that every year.
Not entirely sure how much we can propose. So I'm not entirely sure what to tell the compensation consultant.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, you do it, you did it here. This is what 2% looks like, this is what 3% looks like. Tell them to just do 3 of them.
So
Choose
that-
numbers out of the hat. you
That's a
know?
little different. So that's basing it off of the old way we used to do things. So historically, employees would get a step increase.
Right.
And then this committee would determine, are we going to tack an aging adjustment onto there? That would be the 1.5%, 2.5%. This
Right.
is looking at totally redoing the whole structure. So we might, for example, be putting employees in grade 12, moving them up to a grade 11, because that's where they should be based off of their qualifications, based off of all these things. So that's exactly what the compensation consultant is doing,
Right.
is looking at the big picture, where people are supposed to be. So that's where he's needing a number of, okay, how much money do we have to work with here?
Oh, so it's a he, right?
Correct.
He's asking, he's assuming that there's going to be an overall increase in the budget.
That is correct.
And he's asking us to come up with a number that we think we can tolerate without our hair going on fire.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
But isn't the nature of this study such that they'll come back and say, well, you guys are like 4% off, just raise it 4%? I don't understand why us giving him a number would be helpful if he's got the information. I don't.
He's just needing a number to know what he has to work with. Again, if he has nothing to work with, well then, we don't really have a product to present. We'd just stay status quo. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He was just basically doing a comparison.
He's doing that as well.
So if we give him a guidance of what we think we're willing to do, how good is the information that he is giving back to us if we're leading him?
Right.
So I would argue that we shouldn't give him a number because I want to see how we truly compare.
That's,
I agree, I agree.
Yeah.
That's my.
Otherwise, he's just trying to make us happy.
Right.
And we need to see how good it is or how bad it is. Whatever it is, it is.
I can let him know that information and.
Please
Do you
do.
feel comfortable doing it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think I should turn my mic on, but I'm done talking.
Okay, yeah, do that. Otherwise, why did we pay him to do that? So,
Right. We spent a lot of money for nothing.
Let's not help him.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's see it.
So as far as process goes with the compensation study, just to give everybody kind of a preliminary, so again, hoping to have an estimate by the end of August. At our September personnel bargaining meeting, it would be the hope that you guys could make a determination on where we're going from there, and potentially provide a recommendation to the full county board then, he suggested potentially doing a special full county board meeting to discuss this and kind of do a workshop of what the results were for the compensation study were, and then it would go to the October full county board meeting for final approval, so we could tie it in with the budget in November. So we're on a very tight schedule.
Very tight, yeah. We will have practically finalized the budget by the second week in October for approval in November, with more information coming in October from the compensation study. Very tight.
Would it, I agree that it should be a separate meeting, because if it's tied into like our September county board meeting, I could see it being, 6 or 7 hours long, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of discussion, and so maybe the end of September we'll need, John, a special board meeting just to address this.
And I can keep you posted too, John, on where we're at with things, so.
All right.
Otherwise, that's all I have on that.
So we've already set a date for the next meeting with the union.
That was
September 1st, right?
September 1st at, what time was that?
1 o'clock, because we have ELU in the morning.
Okay.
Okay. And then the next regularly scheduled meeting is, and I did hear you say, could we please have it in the morning because you have the insurance stuff in the afternoon?
Correct.
And
It doesn't make any difference to me anymore. I used to get done at
Right,
1, so I
okay.
have afternoons, so.
All right, let's
Write that
go.
down this time, George.
Okay, I
He's
got,
not until 4:30.
I know, I've got it, it just, that'll be the last time I look at you.
It's a full-time job, 8 to 4:30.
Except they will let them off.
What's the date?
September 16th,
And that would be before the
16th?
9 a.m.
September 16th, 9 a.m. Got it. Unless, and there could be no other business that comes before this august body because it's not on the agenda, so I will adjourn the meeting at 11:38 and a half.
Wow, good job.
Thank you, everybody. We made it.
See you all back